Boulder's top stories this week. The city releases a report on pedestrian and bike accidents. Crews clear streets after record-breaking snow. The city council lowers penalties for some violations, and planning board approves some big plans for Gunbarrel. Hi, I'm Mike Benuelos. We know that walking and biking is good for the environment and good for our health, but is it safe? A new report released by the city of Boulder shows that in our town it is. The 40-month report indicates that less than 8% of all collisions in Boulder involved a bicycle or pedestrian. Natalie Wood has more on the Safe Streets Boulder report.
It's how many people choose to get around town. And a 40-month report on biking and walking in Boulder shows these common modes of transportation are also safe ones.
Both pedestrians and cyclists are underrepresented in accidents. You're less likely to be hit walking or biking than you are to be hit in a car. And when you consider how many people walk and bike, that makes Boulder a pretty safe town to both walk and bike in.
The report analyzes more than 8,000 collisions in Boulder, finding that only 7.8% of all crashes involved a bicycle or pedestrian. The report also identifies the top 15 locations where vehicle-pedestrian accidents occur and the most common types of crashes.
The report found that the most common type of collisions are at intersections, and they involve a motor vehicle turning either left or right and hitting a pedestrian or a bicyclist in the crosswalk.
These findings are critical in helping the city identify ways to decrease collision rates. The report is also useful for dispelling Boulder transportation myths, like the notion that flashing crosswalks are unsafe. The results show that collisions in these crosswalks account for less than 1% of all crashes. The Safe Streets Boulder report shows that flashing crosswalks like this one near 9th and Canyon improve safety for pedestrians crossing busy intersections. Keeping commuters safe is certainly a top priority for the city of Boulder, and reports like this help identify success as well as areas for improvement.
The city of Boulder is committed to encouraging and enabling more people to walk and bike, and having them feel safe in doing so and making improvements at locations that are problematic is a priority for the city. And this report and the continued analysis is a way for us to really continue to make improvements, to fine-tune the system and make sure that we are addressing problem areas.
The report will help guide future crosswalk engineering and educational outreach throughout the city. For Inside Boulder News, I'm Natalie Wood.
City officials say the report speaks to the safety of Boulder's transportation system, specifically for walking and biking. The city will continue to study pedestrian accident data and make crosswalk safety improvements. Walking, biking, and driving to work was a challenge last week when Boulder experienced record-breaking snow. Snow pummeled Boulder and the metro area on February 3rd, resulting in the heaviest accumulations in one day in February since 1909. Boulder alone received 23 inches, and snowplow drivers were hard at work. Inside Boulder News caught up with Transportation and Utilities Maintenance Coordinator Felix Gallo to find out what exactly his team does to keep Boulder roads safe during severe storms.
We're looking at the forecasts and we're looking at the temperatures of the road, and then based on what we see coming in and what the temperatures will be like, we start deploying staff out in the field. And once the storm starts, we are on 24-hour day operation until the storm passes. So we have designated primary routes and secondary routes. Of course, we do bike pass and multi-use pass at the same time, get everything open, and then once the storm has passed and the sun actually comes out, we go on several days of cleanup, which is in some cases we actually have to remove the snow from the road. One of the things you'll notice on a lot of the roads in the city of Boulder is as the snow gets plowed, a little row of snow gets formed. That's called a windrow. That's because we have no place else to put the snow and we have to keep it out of the way of the traffic. Once the storm has passed, we have to come back with heavy equipment and physically pick that snow up and remove it. And since space is at a premium, we bring it back out here to the City Municipal Center. We make a big mountain out of it, and then slowly over time, well into the summer, this will continue to melt and make it out into Goose Creek and then return to the environment.
Gallo says that public safety is the city's #1 goal during a snowstorm. Sometimes his team will take special action, like going into residential neighborhoods or spending extra time plowing areas where there's a high concentration of seniors. Gallo says the best advice he can give drivers in a storm is to stay off the roads if at all possible, or if you do need to travel, use public transportation. City Council this week agreed to lower the penalties of 60 municipal violations and left open the possibility for reductions of others. The violations on the list previously had maximum penalties of up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. Under the new provisions, jail time will no longer be an option and the fine will be limited to $500, unless an individual has been charged with the same crime 3 or more times in 2 years. City Attorney Tom Carr said the change was intended to encourage community service instead of incarceration.
The best way to change behavior, which is what we're trying to do in the criminal justice system, is to bring societal norms, to bring people's behavior into line with societal norms. When you put someone in jail, the people with whom they're associating are people whose societal norms correspond with whatever they did. So if you put a shoplifter in jail, what you're doing is putting a bunch of other people who shoplift. I found it's much more productive and solves the problems better if you do other things. So I've always believed to focus on things like education, community service, associating with other members of the community.
The reductions in penalties have another practical effect. If jail time is no longer a potential sentence, individuals charged with these crimes will no longer be eligible for a jury trial. These defendants can request a trial by judge. Some members of the community have expressed concerns about this, but several council members said they supported the goal of bringing penalties in line with the offenses.
The defendants will lose the ability to have a jury trial with these changes, but to me that seems like a reasonable balance given that there is no jail time involved and that we'll have lower penalties.
A complete list of the violations covered by the change is available on the city's website. The Boulder chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union has made suggestions about some additional offenses that might be included. Carr indicated his staff will review these and bring more information back to council soon. In other council news, the City of Boulder will continue a moratorium on new medical marijuana businesses for the next 9 months. However, council agreed that the 75 businesses with current licenses can file applications to move locations, add investors, or transfer ownership after March 8th. The council decision will give staff time to assess the ordinance and the cost of regulating the new industry while giving existing businesses an opportunity to make adjustments to help them be successful. The Boulder Planning Board approved longtime plans for the creation of the Gunbarrel Center last week. The Wolf Company, an Arizona-based investment firm, was given approval to go ahead with plans for a $50 million mixed-use development. The project will be located in the heart of Gunbarrel, just east of King Soopers at Lookout Road and Gun Park Drive. Gunbarrel Center is planned to sit on more than 9 acres of land and would include about 250 residential units and 50,000 square feet of commercial space. The project has been a long time coming. An early concept plan for the site was withdrawn in 2003 after neighbors raised concerns about increased traffic and proposed 4-story buildings blocking views of the Flatirons. The Wolf Company brought a revised concept plan to the planning board in March that reduced the height of the buildings to 3 stories and included retail space on the first level with a market rate apartment above. The board made some changes to the design and included several conditions that the developer will have to meet. Several major employers in the Gunbarrel area support the development because it will provide housing for employees, but some residents oppose the idea of having a town center largely due to increased traffic. The project is not yet final and could still be called up before City Council. That's all the time we have for this week's news. You can connect with Inside Boulder News on Facebook by submitting news tips and questions. Just search for City of Boulder Channel 8. I'm Mike Banuelos. Stick around for more Inside Boulder next.